If I listen to Mr. Brok, this committee covers everything, even the Le Touquet agreement between France and Britain. That said, we have used, and Elmar also, and many of you, many times the word third country. And Mr. Dance was not pleased that, that we, and I should say with reason. The reason is very simple why we use it. It's not our choice. It's a choice by Britain and by the UK. If the UK, for example, says, yeah, freedom of movement is not possible, yeah, then an EEA solution is not possible. A Norway solution is not possible. When Britain says there can be no oversight by the ECJ, yeah, then an Ukraine solution is not possible because there is an oversight by the ECJ. When Britain says we want to regain our authority and our sovereignty to do the trade deals, then a customs union is not possible. The reason why we are talking about this is not a choice by us, it's a choice by them. It's their red lines who make that we go from a full membership to an EEA, not possible, to a customs union, not possible, to, and so on and so on. And that we talk today about an agreement with a third country. So there are the red lines who are indicating what we have on our table, and not a will or a choice from the 27 to say we want this or we want that. The only thing what cannot happen is that we can create a situation also on environmental standards, but that's the same for everything. If I talk about financial services, it's exactly the same reasoning. That is at the end completely undermining our union in the way that, for example, now the UK is one of the 28. When we talk about environmental standards, they are sitting in the European Parliament, they are sitting in the Commission, they are sitting in the agencies, they are sitting in the Council of Experts, and they are working with the other 27, and together they make an agreement. And it could be from time to time that there is a blocking minority in which Britain can play sometimes, there are some examples of that, a key role, but that's the way it works. What we're going to not allow is that this system is replaced by a bilateral system in which, for every environmental standard, we have an EU 27 agreement and we're going to negotiate it with the UK. Then we can give up the European Union. Because that is giving the signal to everybody, go out and you gain power, you gain authority. And there will be on every environmental standard, on every standard on health service, a bilateral agreement between the EU 27, so the European Union of the future, and UK. That will not happen. We will not allow it. Not in environmental standards, not in financial service, in no sector of the European Union we will allow it. Because that is undermining the Union. And that's creating a new system in which a country is part of 28 and you replace it by a bilateral system in which those who go out gain a sort of a power to make bilateral deals with the European Union. The system has to be that the EU 27 autonomy to decide on these standards is completely intact, doesn't change. There will be in the future consultations with the UK in the transition. There will be in the future arbitration system with the UK under the new system in the future relationship. If there are disputes with them, what we will never do is to undermine the autonomy of the 27 to decide on these standards and to apply these standards. So consultation in the transition, yes. Arbitration in the future relationship, yes. All this will be possible, but not the capacity and the autonomy of the 27 to decide on these issues, and then to ask to our counterparts, and our counterpart will be the UK, to apply them. And so there can be consultation on it, but there can be not an outsourcing of our autonomy of the 27, including the European Parliament, to a new type of EU-UK autonomy deciding body, because that should be an outsourcing of our power, of our autonomy to another body. That will not happen. And I'm telling that because it is the same problem that, because I hear, as Elmar Brok hears it, everybody says, yeah, we want to keep everything like it is. No, it cannot be like that. That's impossible. And we cannot use this whole debate to diminish the power and autonomy of the European Union. Second point, we will never allow that the standards of the European Union will be lowered. That will the benchmark. The benchmark will be our standards, as we do always when we are talking about a relationship with another country, needs to be intact. That are the benchmark. Never lowering our standards, and these standards need to be in place. And this cannot be an exercise for a race to the bottom, to a race to lower these standards. And can be health standards, but it can be also the labor standards, because that's another issue, not in this committee, but in other committees. Third element that has been said, how to enforce it. There will be a specific system, that's clear. We have that in every agreement with every third country, a specific system of arbitrage, but when it concerns the interpretation of union law, that will not be the arbitration who's going to do that. That's going to be the European Court of Justice we're going to do it. When it concerns an interpretation of union law, it will be only the European Court of Justice who is competent to do so. And that will be independent from the arbitration. The arbitration, for example, can at a certain moment, when it concerns an interpretation of union law, they have to refer to the European Court of Justice. We will not allow that an interpretation of union law will be outsourced to an arbitration body outside the acquis of the European Union and outside the structure of the European Union. And then on the transition, Mrs. Girling, the transition is part of the withdrawal. It will not be a separate issue. It will be part of the withdrawal, Article 50. That's one of the reasons that this transition cannot last 10 years, for example, because then it's not longer a transition, and then it's in fact not possible to make it part of the withdrawal. It can only be part of the withdrawal when this transition is limited in time. That's the reason why the negotiator of the European Union, Mr. Barnier, says until 2020, and we are saying maybe a little bit longer, a maximum of 3 years. But it will be part of the withdrawal. So when the conclusion or the agreement arrives here in the Parliament in October of this year, it will be Article 50 withdrawal, including transition, with eventually probably an annex. An annex will be a political declaration on the future relation. So I think, and I'm going a little bit faster now in the different remarks that have been made. I think it's absolutely also clear that solutions need to be found, but we know them. We have, for example, in the research, we have in Euratom, we have in EMA examples of how it works already with third countries, and we have these templates also to apply them in the case of Britain. Last remark to Mr. Flanagan, who said, yeah, are you the good negotiator because you're a federalist? Well, I'm in good company. Monet was a federalist, Schuman was a federalist, I'll say that De Gasperi was a federalist, and in my opinion, even Churchill was a federalist, even if he was a Brit, so I don't think that's a problem. And that I have said that some countries are dwarfs. In the future world, all European countries are dwarfs. The only way to avoid that is to work together in the European Union. And that's not my invention. I think it was Paul-Henri Spaak who said that. We are all dwarfs. Some know it, some for the moment have not the knowledge to know it, but they're gonna know it very fast. And I think that's the reality. So I think that absolutely key is that we receive, if possible, Chair, on the 5 questions that I have put forward, maybe I can also, or the services of the committee can launch them again to all members of your committee. It should be very important that we have your opinion about that. We're going to take that on board in the resolution. And Mr. Flanagan, I do that before. The resolution is not written. The resolution will be written at the end of February, at the moment that we receive from your committee the suggestions to put into the ENVI chapter. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
We thank you very much also. So we invite you to come again.